In this video, we'll uncover the most expensive Washington quarter coins you should be on the lookout for. We'll break down what makes these coins so special, how much they're worth in today's market, and what you need to know to sell them successfully at auction. First up, the 1966 Washington quarter, without mint mark, in fine condition. So, how much is this silver beauty worth in today's auction market? Let's take a look. The 1966 Washington quarter is part of the last year for 90% silver quarters. After 1964, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, but 1966 was one of the final years for silver quarters. This specific coin does not have a mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Let's talk about fine condition. In fine condition, this coin will show significant wear, but it's still in pretty decent shape. You'll notice some flattening on the details of Washington's face and on the eagle's feathers on the reverse. Still, the main features are clear, and the coin is recognizable as a 1966 Washington quarter. A coin in fine condition has clear details but shows moderate wear. On a 1966 Washington quarter, the date and mint mark or lack thereof will still be legible, and the overall design remains intact. This is a common grade for circulated coins, meaning it's a coin that was actually used in everyday transactions back in the day. To give you a quick idea, a fine grade coin will show noticeable wear on the high points, but you can still see the key details. The coin's surface may have some scratches or discoloration, but it still holds a lot of its original charm. So, what's the 1966 Washington quarter worth in fine condition at today's auctions? Well, this coin can typically sell for around $7 to $10 in fine condition, depending on its overall appearance and the auction house. At auction, the price can vary based on demand, so if there are collectors actively bidding for silver quarters or those interested in specific years, you might see the price go higher. However, most coins in this grade won't fetch huge amounts unless they have unique characteristics. Now, just like with any coin, you should always check for potential errors. If this coin had an error, like a double die or a misstrike that could greatly increase its value sometimes into the hundreds of dollars, even in a lower grade like fine error coins are highly collectible and can significantly increase the value of an otherwise common coin. So, always give your coins a close inspection for any minting mistakes that could make them special. Now, for comparison, a 1966 Washington quarter in mint state can go for around $20 to $30 depending on its condition, while a coin in uncirculated or proof quality can fetch $50 or more. So, fine condition is on the lower end of the price scale, but still offers decent value for a silver quarter. Next up, the 1990 Washington quarter with a large date and the D mint mark in very fine condition. How much can you expect this coin to fetch at auction? Let's find out. The 1990 Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D mint mark. This coin is part of the modern clad series, made with a copper-nickel composition rather than the silver used in previous years. The large date on this quarter refers to the size of the digits in the year, a minor variation from other years, but it's something collectors keep an eye on. Let's talk about what makes this coin special in very fine condition. A very fine coin shows moderate wear, but the key details remain clear. On this coin, you'll still be able to make out most of Washington's features on the obverse, like his hair and the outline of his face, and the reverse with the eagle and its feathers is still well defined. A very fine condition coin will show noticeable wear, especially on the higher points like Washington's cheek and the eagle's wings. But the coin is still in great shape for its age and displays all the important design elements clearly. To break it down, a very fine coin is one that has been circulated, so you'll see some wear and tear, but it's still in good enough shape to keep its value. For this 1990 Washington quarter, the features on both sides will still be sharp enough for collectors to appreciate. Now, let's get to the big question. What's this 1990 Washington quarter worth at auction today? A coin in very fine condition like this one typically sells for around $5 to $7. It's a fairly common coin, so you won't see it going for huge amounts, but it's still worth more than face value. At auction, prices can vary depending on the market and demand, but expect this coin to land in that price range unless there's something extra special about it, like a rare error or unique feature. Now, just like with any coin, it's always a good idea to check for potential errors or varieties that could boost the value. For instance, if this 1990 Washington quarter had a double die or a misstrike, it could fetch much higher prices, even hundreds of dollars in some cases. Some of the most sought-after error coins include double die obverse or reverse, off-center strikes, and clashing errors. If you spot one of these, you could have a very valuable coin on your hands, even if it's in a lower grade. Next up, the 1987 Washington quarter with a large date and the D mint mark in extra fine condition. How much can this coin fetch in today's auction market? Let's find out. The 1987 Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark on the reverse. This is a part of the clad series of quarters, meaning it's made with a copper-nickel composition, unlike the silver quarters of earlier years. The large date refers to a slightly bigger font used for the year on these coins, something collectors look for when building their sets. Let's take a closer look at the extra fine condition of this coin. In extra fine condition, you'll notice that the coin is in great shape. There's still a little wear on the highest points, but the details are sharp and clear. Washington's face and hair will be well defined, and the reverse design, including the eagle and its feathers, will show minimal wear. On a very fine coin, there will be wear on the highest parts of the design, but they're still very legible. For this coin, you'll still see the details of Washington's face, and the eagle's wings will be clearly visible with only a little wear. On the edges, coins in extra fine condition are in great shape. They've been circulated, but still retain a lot of their original detail. So, when we look at the 1987 Washington quarter, you'll find it's far more detailed than a coin in fine condition, and definitely shows much less wear than one in good condition. So, what's this 1987 Washington quarter worth in extra fine condition in today's market? Well, these quarters are fairly common, but in extra fine condition, they're generally worth around $7 to $10 at auction. At auction, the price can fluctuate based on demand, but typically, a coin in extra fine condition won't break the bank. You may see it on the lower end of that range, unless there's a collector specifically looking for this year. And mint mark. Now, if you're lucky enough to find a rare error on your 1987 Washington quarter, that could definitely affect its value. For example, a double die or an off-center strike could really bump up the price, sometimes even turning a relatively common coin into something worth hundreds of dollars. Collectors always look out for error coins. If your 1987 Washington quarter has a double die or other notable mistakes from the minting process, that could increase its value exponentially, regardless of its grade. Next up, the 1977 Washington quarter, without mint mark in fine condition. What's it worth in today's auction market? Stick around to find out. The 1977 Washington quarter was struck in the classic copper-nickel clad composition, making it part of the post-1964 series. This particular coin lacks a mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is common for many of the Washington quarters produced during this time. Now, let's take a closer look at what fine condition means for this coin. In fine condition, you'll notice the coin has visible wear, but the key details are still present. Washington's portrait will show some flattening, especially on his hair and cheek, but you'll still be able to make out his features. On the reverse, the eagle and its wings will also show some wear, but the design will remain clear enough for collectors to appreciate. In fine condition, the wear is noticeable but not extreme. On the obverse, the date and motto will still be legible, and the reverse design remains fairly sharp, but with some softened details. To clarify, a fine condition coin has more significant wear than a very fine coin, but it's still considered collectible. The surface will have some scratches and marks from circulation, but the important features of the design are still distinguishable. So, what's the value of this 1977 Washington quarter in fine condition in today's auction market? Well, it's not a rare coin, but it still holds some value due to its good condition. In fine condition, this coin typically sells for around $4 to $6. At auction, prices can vary depending on the market and how many people are bidding. However, you can usually expect a 1977 Washington quarter in fine condition to fall in that $4 to $6 range unless it's part of a larger collection or there's something particularly unique about the coin. Before you sell or buy, always check your coins for errors. Sometimes those little mistakes can add a lot of value. If your 1977 Washington quarter has a double die or some other minting issue, it could sell for significantly more than the typical market price. Next up, the 1982 Washington quarter with a large date and demint mark in very fine condition. You'll want to stick around to find out how much this coin could fetch at auction today. The 1982 Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark on the reverse side. This coin is part of the modern Washington quarter series, which was made from copper-nickel-clad composition starting in 1965, unlike the earlier silver Washington quarters. Let's focus on the very fine condition of this coin. When a coin is in very fine condition, it shows significant wear, but the design is still very detailed. On the obverse, you'll see Washington's portrait with some wear on the high points, especially around his cheek and hairline. But the features are still quite clear. On the reverse, the eagle's wings and feathers will show more wear but are still fully recognizable. In very fine condition, the coin's overall detail is still very present, though the sharpness of the features may be softened a bit. You'll also notice that the coin has been in circulation for quite a while, but it hasn't been overly worn down. The large date is another feature of interest for collectors, as it's easier to see compared to the smaller date quarters from earlier years. To explain a bit further, very fine coins show more detail than fine coins but still display some signs of circulation. The edges and designs aren't sharp and pristine like a mint state coin, but they're much more defined than coins in lower grades like good or fair. So, what's the value of this 1982 Washington quarter in very fine condition in today's auction market? Well, this is a more common coin from the early 1980s, but it still has some value due to its good condition. In very fine condition, it typically sells for around $6 to $10. At auction, the price might fluctuate a bit depending on demand and the number of bidders. However, you can generally expect a 1982 Washington quarter in very fine condition to land in that range, unless it's part of a collection or has some unique features. But don't forget to check your coins for errors. Coins with minting mistakes, such as double dies or off-center strikes, can be worth significantly more. Even a slight error can increase a coin's value, sometimes by hundreds of dollars. Error coins are highly prized by collectors, and if your 1982 Washington quarter has a double die or other noticeable flaw, it could end up worth much more than the usual value for a coin in very fine condition. Next up, the 1985 Washington quarter, featuring a large date with the P mint mark in fine condition. Stick around as we break down its value in today's auction market. The 1985 Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is denoted by the P mint mark on the reverse side of the coin. As with most quarters produced in the 1980s, this coin is part of the copper-nickel-clad series, making it distinct from earlier silver quarters. Now let's talk about what fine condition means for this coin. A coin in fine condition will show noticeable wear from circulation, but key features will still be clearly visible. On the obverse, Washington's portrait will show some smoothing, especially around the cheek and the hairline. However, his profile and the date are still easily recognizable. On the reverse, the eagle's wings and feathers will be worn but still show their general form. In fine condition, the wear is obvious but not excessive. The coin has been in circulation, but it hasn't been overly damaged or worn down to the point where the design is unrecognizable. The large date is a characteristic feature of this quarter, making it easy for collectors to identify. So, how much is this 1985 Washington quarter in fine condition worth in today's auction market? While this coin is not particularly rare, it still has value due to its condition and the fact that it is part of the Washington quarter series. In fine condition, you can generally expect to see it sell for around $4 to $6. At auction, prices can fluctuate slightly depending on factors like the current demand or the number of bidders interested in the coin. However, in most cases, the 1985 Washington quarter in fine condition will typically fall within that $4 to $6 price range. But before you sell or buy, always check for errors. Sometimes, a small minting mistake can dramatically increase the value of a coin. Keep an eye out for things like double dies, off-center strikes, or any other unique features that could make your coin stand out. Minting errors are highly sought after by collectors. So, if your 1985 Washington quarter has any noticeable flaws, such as a double die or off-center strike, it could end up being worth significantly more than the usual $4 to $6 range. Thanks for tuning in today. Do you have any 1985 Washington quarters or other Washington quarters in your collection? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, happy collecting.